My name is Victoria Hayes. Most people just call me Vicky. For the past 18 years, I've perfected the art of being completely invisible when it comes to money. It turned out to be the perfect training for what was about to happen. My son Alexander had been dating Sophia for almost a year. I'd only met her 3 times before the wedding day. Each time she asked kind, but pointed questions about my simple lifestyle, whether I was managing okay on a retired teacher's pension, and if I'd ever need help with expenses as I got older. The wedding was breathtaking. The Harrington family estate spanned 80 acres in the Virginia countryside, with a private chapel, manicured gardens, and a reception tent that probably cost more than most people's houses. Sophia walked down the aisle in a gown that screamed old money. Alexander, my 34-year-old son, looked happier than I'd seen him since his father died 10 years ago. I wore a simple navy dress from a department store and my mother's single strand of pearls. Nothing flashy. I'd learned long ago that real wealth doesn't announce itself. It just exists quietly. The ceremony was beautiful. Sophia's mother, Eleanor, kept eyeing me like I was an out-of-place piece of furniture. But the real drama started at the reception. Crystal chandeliers, a string quartet, ice sculptures, endless champagne. I sat quietly at a corner table, watching my son dance with his new wife, when Sophia approached with her parents. "Mom, Dad," she said in that syrupy tone, "I'd like you to meet Alexander's mother." Then it happened. Richard Harrington, Sophia's father, stared at me for a long second. His face went pale. "Victoria Hayes?" he whispered. You're the anonymous investor who bought my company 4 years ago?" The music seemed to fade. Sophia froze. Eleanor's champagne glass stopped halfway to her lips. Richard couldn't stop. "Harrington Enterprises, the silent majority buyer who saved us from bankruptcy. It was you?" Sophia's perfect smile vanished. She looked between her father and me in total confusion. The truth is, most people have no idea what real money looks like. They expect private jets, designer everything, and constant displays of wealth. They don't expect a widow in sensible shoes who drives a 10-year-old. Sedanen lives in a modest condo. It all started with my late husband, Daniel. We were both engineers. In 2008, he invented a power efficiency chip that revolutionized battery life in smartphones. We sold the patent in 2010 for $40 million. Alexander was 26 then, just starting his career in finance. We told him we'd received a comfortable payout, enough to live well, but nothing life-changing. He never questioned it. He built his career the hard way, through talent and long hours. What he didn't know was that $40 million was only the beginning. Daniel and I invested wisely, tech stocks early, real estate in growing markets, promising startups. Daniel had an incredible eye for undervalued companies. By the time he passed away in 2015, our net worth had grown to over $1.2 billion. 4 years ago, I quietly acquired Harrington Enterprises through a shell company. Richard had nearly destroyed a perfectly good business with overexpansion and bad debt. I saw the potential beneath the mess. Strong brands, loyal customers, talented staff. I bought it at a discount, installed professional management, and turned it around. Now it was thriving because of my decisions. And the man whose daughter had just treated me like the poor relation had been living off my investment for years. "I think you have me confused with someone else," I said calmly. But Richard knew. He remembered the one board meeting I attended, sitting quietly behind my lawyers while they handled everything. The next morning, Alexander showed up at my condo at 8 a.m., looking like he hadn't slept. "Mom, Dad Harrington cornered me last night. He asked about Grandpa's patents, your investments, everything. What's going on?" I made coffee. It was time. Before I could speak, my phone buzzed. A text from Sophia. "Victoria, let's do lunch today. Now that we're family, there are some things we should discuss." Alexander saw it. "What does she want?" I sighed. "I think your new wife just realized she married into more than she expected." Lunch was at the most expensive restaurant in town. Sophia arrived early, wearing a designer outfit and that confident smile. She ordered a $800 bottle of wine to celebrate our new family. Then she laid it out. She showed photos from the acquisition signing, grainy images. But there I was in the background. In a navy dress, posture unmistakable. She talked about family assets, shared planning, trust structures. She thought she'd found the golden ticket. Alexander looked devastated. All his life, he'd believed he'd made it on his own. Now everything felt tainted. 3 days later, my financial advisor confirmed what I suspected. Sophia had hired private investigators. The Harringtons were deeper in debt than they let on, maintaining their lifestyle on loans, hoping Sophia would marry money. Now they thought they had. That night I opened a bottle of 1982 Chateau Margaux that Daniel and I had saved for a special occasion. I spread out years of financial records across my dining table. If Sophia wanted to play detective, she was about to learn she'd picked the wrong opponent. A week later, I invited the entire Harrington family to dinner at my little condo. They arrived expecting to negotiate. Instead, I took them to the private elevator that only I used. It opened directly into the penthouse I'd owned for years but never lived in, 10,000 square feet overlooking the city, original art on the walls, a view that took their breath away. Then I called a board meeting for Harrington Enterprises. In the same boardroom where Richard once thought he'd lost everything, I took my seat at the head of the table. For the past 4 years, I said quietly, this company has succeeded because of my vision and my capital. Now, I'm stepping out of the shadows. Sophia went pale. Richard looked down. Eleanor stared at her manicure. I continued, the company will continue to thrive. Jobs are safe, but control is no longer silent. Then I looked at Sophia. Real wealth isn't about designer dresses or big weddings. It's about building something lasting, quietly, patiently. She tried to speak, but nothing came out. Later, Alexander hugged me. Mom, why didn't you tell me? Because I wanted you to build your own life, not live in my shadow. He smiled through tears. You did good, Mom. As for Sophia, she learned that some lessons come with a very expensive price tag, and I finally stopped hiding. Because sometimes the best revenge isn't loud. It's just inevitable.